And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment, which is going to be talking about the Central and some standing predictions there. We just did the National League and we just did the East part of it, and we're now doing the Central, so predicting the standings at the end of the year for the American League and the National League Central. But before we do all that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers that ensure that your question does get read on the air. Please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show. It really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so of course we'll be going down from 5 to 1, counting down what I believe will be the American League and the National League Central at the end of the year. And hopefully I'm right at the end of the year, and we'll be able to go over that as well. So yeah, starting off in the National League, I am going to be starting again from 5 to 1. In the National League Central, I do want to say it was hard. I don't think any of these teams are bad necessarily, so I want you to keep that in mind if you are a fan of a team. Mainly the team at number 5. I don't think your team is bad. I just think there's 4 teams better than them. And starting off at number 5, I had the Chicago Cubs. Now, I want to make it clear again, I don't think the Cubs are a bad team. I just think they are in a very, very good division, and honestly, things have not gone their way this year. I expect them to be sellers at the deadline. I don't really know who they can sell. I mean, maybe Bellinger, but he just got hurt, so I'm not exactly sure if that can happen. I mean, maybe they trade Jamison Tyone, but he's like 2.5 years left in his contract, so I'm not really sure if that would make any sense. So the Cubs are just an interesting team. I mean, just really nothing has gone right for them this year. The offense has underperformed. The bullpen has underperformed. The rotation has underperformed. Just overall, I just don't think it's their year. Craig Counsell has really not been as big of a presence as I think the Cubs expected him to be. And I just think, again, it's really just not their year. I think that happens with a lot of teams. And I think just gear up towards next year. And, just look at this year as kind of a lost year and kind of build towards the future. It's a great free agent class in the offseason. You have a ton of money. I don't know any player that wouldn't want to come to Wrigley if you offer them the right money. I think Juan Soto, honestly, is a perfect fit there. I've talked about him on the show, and in the end, because I do think it's going to end up being 3 teams in the services for Juan Soto, which is going to be the Cubs, Mets, and Yankees. I think those 3 teams have a better shot than anyone. So I think maybe you look to sign someone like that. But just for this year, again, just not their year. Not there to compete, and that's why I do have them in last place here. But still, not a bad team, just things didn't go their way. 4, I have the Cincinnati Reds. Like the Cubs, the Reds, it just was not their year, really, from the beginning. Once Matt McClain and Evelyn Marte both went down for a significant amount of time for different reasons, the team I thought would end up winning the division, I was like, okay, you know what? It's kind of it for this year. I still think they have a really nice core to build around. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo are a great top 2 of that rotation. Chase Petty should be up soon. Chase Burns, who you just drafted, should be up soon as well. The offense, of course, fantastic. I mean, you have like 8 or 9 genuinely very good young bats. Reese Hines is now a monster, apparently. He came out of nowhere, so he's adding into that core. So Reds, like the Cubs, have a very good future. I would argue the Reds have a better future. And if everyone's healthy next year, I would not be surprised to see them win this division. And overall, I love this team. I think there's a lot going for them. Just again, which is not their year, and things did not go their way. That's kind of it. 3rd place, I have the St. Louis Cardinals for the National League. Now, Central, sorry. Now, for the Cardinals, overall, I think this is a very solid team, to be perfectly honest with you. I just don't think they're going to add enough at the deadline or have enough to be as good as they can be. I think their bullpen is fantastic. It's really one of the best in the league. I mean, if your pitcher gives you 5 or 6 very good innings of 1 run or less, which I don't think is a crazy ask to ask, by the way, only 5-6 innings, I think you win that game. You have Andrew Kitteridge, you have Jojo Romero, you have Ryan Thompson, Ryan Fernandez, and then Ryan Helsley. I think 2 of those Ryans I said were right. I don't know if one of them was. But overall, I think the back end of that bullpen is absolutely fantastic. And you have a great ace in Sonny Gray. But after that, I don't think there's much. I think the offense hasn't performed up to the standards you'd like these past 2 years as well. The rotation, again, after Sonny Gray, I don't find much to like about it. So as much as I like this Cardinals team, I don't think they're going to add enough at the deadline because they haven't really in these past few years to be able to continue to be a genuinely good team. And I think this NL Central, because of all the good teams they have, it's really kind of a crapshoot. And I just think at this point the Cardinals aren't going to be in 3rd place. Now at 2nd place, maybe a hot take, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've talked about my love for this team, and I think they've really become the darling of baseball since Paul Skeens came up, and I like them a lot. I think this top 3 of Jones, Keller, and Skeens is absolutely fantastic. Will continue progressing throughout this year, especially Skeens, who I think will get better and better. And I think the offense is going to acquire some pieces as well. Brian Reynolds is really good. Andrew McCutcheon's going to get it going at some point. Connor Joe's been a very solid player. I think Jack Swinsky at some point is going to be very good. I think there are people within their farm system that can be called up for this year. They have the trade capital to be able to trade for some kind of major league bats. So overall, I like this Pirates team a lot. I think they end up finishing second in the NL Central, and overall, I think they're a very good team with a very good future, and they're going to be scary next year when they have money to spend and everyone's fully developed. Very, very scary. First place, I of course have the Milwaukee Brewers. No surprises here. They've been first all year in the NL Central, and I believe they're going to continue to be in first. I think they are an absolutely fantastic, fantastic team. They have a ton of lineup depth that I really did not expect from them going into this year. Rhys Hoskins, Christian Yelich, Jackson Chourio, William Contreras, Sal Frelick, all mentions of guys who have been very, very good parts of this team for them. The problem with them is the pitching, and I do think it is going to end up being a problem with them going into the playoffs. But the regular season, I do think that they'll be okay. Again, Freddie Peralta can hold it down. I'm not sure if Brandon Woodruff will be back at some point. If DL Hall, Robert Gasser will be, I assume not. But still, I think they're going to have to acquire some starting pitching depth, and I think they will be able to. And overall, I think this lineup depth is really nice. Their bullpen is, of course, always great, and Devin Williams is coming back soon as well, which should really, really help. So overall, really great team, and I have them at the top of the NL Central, like they've been for the entirety of the year. AL, I have at number 5, going into the American League Central now, sorry. I have at the 5th place position the Chicago White Sox. Not going to spend too much time on the White Sox. One of the worst teams I've watched with my own eyes. Absolutely horrific, just an awful, awful team. They have really no good parts about them, and if they do have good parts about them, they'll surely be traded by August 1st. So, yeah, this White Sox team is awful. It's really, really bad, and that's why I have them here at 5th in the AL Central. 4th place, I have the Detroit Tigers. I think the Tigers are a very solid team, but I think they're going to trade some people at the deadline, and I just don't think their offense is going to be at the pace that we expect them to be. It'll be interesting to see if they trade Tarek Skubal. I don't think they should, but that's a conversation for a different day. It's going to be, I can guarantee you that'll be a segment next week. Guarantee that. So, with the Tigers team, they just don't have enough offense to sustain a winning team, and it's shown this year because they have been in 4th place really the entire year. Jack Flaherty, Tarek Skubal is a great 1-2 punch, but Flaherty is going to be gone by the deadline. We don't know if Skubal will be, and even if Skubal isn't, he's going to be the only person out of rotation. And, I mean, Reese Olson's pretty good. I'll give him credit on that. But just the Tigers do not have enough offense to sustain a winning team, and that's got to be something they fix going into the rest of their future. 3, I have the Kansas City Royals. I really like this Royals team. I just think the 2 teams above them are very good and better. This Royals team has a ton of great pitching depth. I mean, their rotation is arguably the best in the American League. Cole Reagans, Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, incredible top 3. Michael Walker's proven to be a reliable backhand arm. So, overall, this Royals team is really, really good, and I like them a lot. I think they need to add some pieces to the offense, especially to the bullpen as well. I think I mentioned this a few times on the show. I'll continue to. I think Tanner Scott of the Marlins is a picture-perfect fit with this Royals team. So, overall, very, very solid team. Just, I think the 2 teams above them are better, and it's kind of just in a situation where you're very good, but not as good. It's kind of unfortunate for them. 2nd place now, I have the Cleveland Guardians. Yes, I do not have the Guardians at first. I do not believe they will win this division. Let me explain why. I think the Guardians are a fantastic team, and spoiler alert, I still have them in the playoffs, but we talk about that in the 4th and 5th segments. But to continue with this, I think the Guardians are a very good team. I just don't think they're this good, and I think at some point they are going to regress. Players aren't going to continue playing as good as they are right now, and I think it is going to catch up with them at some point. I still think they're a very good team. It's just, do I really expect David Fry to continue to play as well as he has? Not really. I mean, do I still expect some of these guys that have been on their offense to be as good as they have been? I just don't think so. I think their pitching depth as well is going to finally start to show some cracks. They didn't do the greatest heading into the All-Star break as well. I mean, they were 4-6 in their last 10, which obviously isn't horrible, but it is something I think you have to look at. So their bullpen is fantastic. Their offense is a lot of good pieces, but I do think some of those pieces are going to start to regress. And I think overall the lack of pitching depth they have is going to end up becoming an equation. Is going to end up becoming a problem within their team at some point. So I think they're a very good team still. I just don't think they're going to continue being this good. And I overall do think that the Twins, who I have at number 1, of course, are a better team and are going to continue to get better. I think once they get healthy, once Brooks Lee continues to develop, this offense is going to be absolutely brutal to face. I think they are going to acquire a starting pitcher. I heard them today connected to Yusei Kikuchi, who I think will be a really great fit we heard them today connected to some rental starters. So I think they have the they have the willingness to add. I think they will add, and I think overall this team has a ton of good pieces. I thought they were the best team heading into the AL Central going into this year. I'm going to continue to stay with that belief, and I think they do end up winning this division. I'm sure Guardians fans won't like that, but sorry. I still think your team's very good, just not as good. So, recapping this again for the Central standings predictions, we have in the NL, Brewers in first place, Pirates in second place, Cardinals in third place, Reds in fourth place, Cubs in fifth place. For the American League, Twins in first place, Guardians in second place, Royals in third place, Tigers in fourth place, White Sox in fifth place. So yeah, that is our second segment here, going over the American League and National League and for the Central Division and just going over their standings and predicting it. Going into our third segment now, which is going to be talking about, of course, the West, doing the same thing we just did for the first two, going over the American League West, the National League West, and predicting those standings. So yeah, going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free.